The Bonn Climate Conference continued on Thursday with informal consultations and contact groups meeting under the SBSTA. The ADP conducted informal consultations during the morning and a plenary in the afternoon. As the Bonn Climate Conference begins to wind to a close, delegates had the opportunity to reflect on the ADP and the road to Warsaw.
Bonn was a fantastic session. The ADP was suspended today with the view to continue its work later on this same year. And I think also the agreement about the host country for next year and the role of Venezuela as PRECOP already started to help us to work together.
I have the impression that ADP was really progressing well. It did advance more than I personally was expecting. I have the impression there is a common ground emerging on many issues. However, at the same time, we have also to caution, because while this common ground seems to emerge by a large group of countries, there are still a few countries whom I think are just repeating the rhetoric of the LCA. So we are not yet there that everybody starts to focus on this emerging ground, but something is emerging which is promising. I think we were also able to make progress on SBSTA, on some technical work, which is important.
In Africa, it is well known that our emission profile on aggregate as a continent are very low. So it is why we think adaptation is very important. That's why we are calling for an adaptation goal in the ADP, because adaptation is not only for developing countries, adaptation is for all parties.
We are 49 countries. And we are 850 million people, representing 12% of the population on this earth. We are the least responsible for this problem in the first place, and we are the least capable of adapting to the adverse impacts of climate change. In Warsaw, we have a number of expectations. We need clear decision on pre-2020 mitigation ambition. We also need a clear decision on ratcheting of finance for adaptation, especially for LDCs, with regard to NAPs.
From our group perspective, this has been a good session in a way where we've had a proposal that we've been building on since the April ADP session, the first part. So at this second part, we've gained momentum, and you can actually see it by the support that we're getting from the room with advancing our proposal on Workstream 2, which is intended to build on enhancing mitigation ambition. Therefore, this proposal then builds on a process where parties can showcase what they're doing at home, and being able to bring it to this process, the UNFCCC process, and being able to say this is where mitigation potential is.
In Warsaw, I hope we can have more smooth progress there to go to substantial negotiation, especially to focus on the full building blocks as presented in paragraph 5 of Decision 1 CP17. That means mitigation, adaptation, technology transfer, and finance. In that way, we can ensure the direction of the negotiation will be the right.
We are now entering another crucial phase under ADP. We hope that submissions will be made by different countries on the different topics, namely also an adaptation, and then that based on these submissions we will receive enriched technical papers, and then that we can really engage on an in-depth discussion in Warsaw.
From our point of view, from our group of the Alliance of Small Island States, from Bonn to Warsaw, there's no doubt there's a sense of urgency to increase mitigation potential and closing the mitigation ambition gap.
Let's all gather in Warsaw. Let's engage constructively and think of the future of this planet Earth.
The day wrapped up with the suspension of the second session of the ADP, as negotiators continued to work on outstanding issues under the SBSTA in preparation for tomorrow's plenary.